One of the best ways to take your photography to the next level is to get a portfolio review. What's a portfolio review? This is a portfolio review. Now, recently we were contacted by American photographer Kelly Murphy from the Midwest, and she goes by the name of Red Hat Photography because to most events she wears a distinctive red cowboy hat. Really cool to get these portfolio reviews from all over the world, as it always is. She shoots two types of things according to her website: Cowboy Mounted Shooting and Professional Wrestling. A young photographer, 5 years in the business. Now, Kelly submitted a selection of images for portfolio review today. We're going to look at them with you now and offer some feedback in terms of the cropping, in terms of the composition, in terms of the technical ability, but most importantly in terms of the impact. Really exciting because we're going to get to see some great wrestling photo, but we're also going to get to see my first opportunity to see Cowboy Mounted Shooting. Now, as ever, this is the first time I'm going to be viewing the images. I'm going to be viewing them for the first time with you, so you'll get my instinctive reaction to them. Let's dive in straight away and let's go straight into the world, I guess, of Cowboy Mounted Shooting. Now, I'm guessing, as the name suggests, that Cowboy Mounted Shooting involves riding a horse at speed while you shoot targets, and that is clearly what is coming across in image number 1 here. And what a great capture. We've got the exposure well handled here, so we can see all of the tones throughout the image. Our subject is pinned sharp there, but most importantly, the timing on this one to get that gun exploding off in the hand, so that when we actually get super close in here, let's have a little look at this. We can see all the sparks coming off the gun and from out of the hand here. It's really great. I love the way that the ponytail here, or the hair rather, of the rider is married up with the hair of the mane of the horse and also the hair here at the back of the tail. This is the first time I've seen Cowboy. It's the first Cowboy mounted shot that I've had the opportunity to critique here. And it's just, I mean, I'm just going straight in here. I just think it's great. I mean, we could talk about the timing and getting the timing different for the feet and for the legs of the horse, and when we're looking at a question, I very much sort of like involve myself in the world of sort of classic equestrianism and classic horse portraits, which this isn't. This is completely different. This is action. This is working horses in motion. Possibly give this one a little bit more space, maybe a little bit more context around it, so that we can see the stand in the background and we're taking more of a documentary style image. But in terms of filling the frame and keeping the image sharp, yeah, this is great here, and I'm really privileged to see this as my first experience of the world of the photography of Cowboy Mounted Shooting. Next one here, look at this expression, goodness gracious me. So we're at an outdoor event, and I'm getting more of an idea of what they do now. Look, it's obviously shooting balloons. Look at the expression of that rider there, though, in the foreground. That's absolutely fantastic. Where he's come into daylight and where the crowd in the background is in shadow has offered us a wonderful opportunity to separate here. The background here, if we bring a line down, that we'll see that the background here is just slightly on an angle, only a very slight angle. The horse is on a very distinctive angle in the foreground here, like a 45-degree angle there, and I'm not sure that they work perfectly in balance together. But to be able to capture, firstly, this moment where the gun is going off and we've got the explosion coming out the end of the barrel of the gun, the timing on that with a little bit of light just hitting around the hand is great. And the fact that we've managed to marry that up with good handling of exposure in what is obviously a difficult lighting setup. The sun's coming from over and behind on the left hand side there, sort of coming from behind the subject, so the face is largely in shadow, but I'm guessing we've got a little bit of light coming back in off the gun there, and to marry that up with the background to give context to the whole picture has been really well keenly handled. Have a look at the space here, because where our rider is shooting off into the right hand side, there's equal space left and right on this image. I'd be tempted to have a look at this at maybe cropping this image or allowing for a bit more space into that negative space, so we can see the whole puff of smoke coming through, and so that he's shooting into that negative space just to give it a little bit more of a dynamic composition there. But what wonderful timing on this shot. Kelly's taken us into the world of professional wrestling here. Pin sharp on the face again, great. And as ever, submission moves are great for capturing expression and capturing action here. I often like referees' hands coming into pictures. I think they can often help. This one here, where we're just on the edge and we can only see a couple of little fingers, possibly more of a distraction than anything else. Potentially tone down the specular highlight here. Here's a little tip. When I squint at photos, I can see what the brightest thing in the photo is, and that's where my eye sort of tends to go to. And in here, the brightest part of the image is the face and is the hand coming in here, but the real specular highlight of that spotlight in the background, just a tiny little bit distracting, but a good low angle. You're getting close to the action. If we come out even wider, we'll get the branding of the wrestling here on the apron as well, and potentially with a slightly different crop and just bringing in that branding of the wrestling. That is going to give your promoters something really, really cool to sell the next show, and is going to endear you to promoters up and down the country. I always make sure I try and get as much branding in there as possible. Simple portrait here. It's raw, it's rugged, it's rough, and that's what I really like about it. It feels like a really believable, simple portrait. Light coming in from the right hand side here. It's a direct light source. It's probably a small light source because it's got this really, really dark black fine shadow there coming down from the arm and by the legs there and by the arm on the other side, and we can see every sort of strand of hair here. Where the head's turned here, we can see where the light is because the catch light in the eye here is right in the middle of the eye. What that's done is it's not allowed for any light or any catch light in the iris or in the pupil, and ideally where we really want that catch light is there. By moving the light around, we're going to create more dramatic shadows for this shot, but we're also going to pick out the iris and the pupil and really make those eyes sparkle. Have a play around with this though, because when we're working with these direct light sources, it's sometimes difficult to work with. Have a play around with closing eyes in the shot. Closing eyes in these sorts of portraits really, really sort of help add a bit of narrative and add an air of mystery to these shots where we're working with single light flash units. But if we're just starting to work with flash on location at a shoot like this, I really, really admire your effort here. I think this is great, and this is a very, very real and raw portrait image, well handled. Yep, so another one backstage. We're working with this single light setup. We've managed to get a full length picture, which I admire because working full length backstage is hard. We managed to get the championship in the shot there, and we can see all the branding on the championship, which is great. And we've managed to get him just to come down just a little bit in this shot here, making the most of the space. Nice wide stance there, which allows us to fill the frame even more. I like the expression straight through into the camera. It's a nice connection with the viewer there. Potentially looking at doing something extra with this hand here, bring it into a fist, bringing it up or bringing it over to the championship, or even making some form of shape on this side here. But overall, where we're working backstage, we're trying to work quickly, we're trying to work with limited light sources, and I really, really admire this portrait as well. Well, here we go. It's wrestling. This is great, isn't it? This is taking something out of the normal context of a wrestling ring, and we're wrestling on a bar top. I hope it was cleaned afterwards. We like sanitary surfaces by which to purchase our drinks and snacks, at least I do anyway. Great capture and timing on the moment here. Good look and connection with the viewer. Lovely little Dutch angle here, just bringing that angle of the bar work into the side there. It's a shame we got this tiny little distraction of the fan in the background there. If we could just crop in maybe just to the side here and just isolate these performers against the bar, may lead to a slightly stronger composition. But it's just so different, isn't it? And I like this. I follow this around, and if your promotion's doing things like this, then just keep experimenting with it, keep shooting it, and we'll eventually get to, I mean, I can see that we're working in challenging lighting conditions here. These sort of context pictures just require experimentation to take it to the next level. But overall, we're getting close, and getting close is the thing holding a lot of new or newer photographers back. Being afraid to get close, being afraid to be closer to the action. Getting close is where we sort of take our photography and really, really involve ourselves with what's going on and make the viewer feel like they're there. And I certainly feel like I'm here front row watching this bar fight happen. Love the expression on this one. Another one from the world of the mounted cowboy shooting here. First things first, I'm just going to drop into negatives because I want to talk about positives. Just cropped off the feet. I want to see the full framing. So if we either make a crop that's definite or a crop that keeps all of the detail in, and just those little nicky crops are just a little bit challenging there in terms of the overall composition. The window in the background is the brightest part of the image, which is adding an element of distraction. So therefore, just with this in mind, I'd be tempted to crop this. I think there's potentially like a rectangular crop in here where we crop above the legs of the horse here, just below, so we can keep the full foot there in of the athlete on the horse, and just really make the most of those shards of sparks from the gun coming out into that space on the left hand side, and really make a bit more of an abstract crop. Don't be afraid, going back to the previous shot actually, don't be afraid to get close, and then once you're close, try and get even closer and try and create those dynamic compositions there. Again, similar one taken from the other side. We can see the challenging lights, and we can see the challenge of the lighting in the arena here. The hat here, super bright, slight air of overexposure over the whole thing. But I like the context of the audience in the background, showing we've got the slight distracting elements of the guy sitting here just in front of where the chest of the horse is there. But again, a great moment. We're obviously shooting either with great timing or we're shooting a lot of frames here. And if we get even closer, I'll keep saying this again, but if we get even closer, the sparks and what's going on here is really interesting. It's really abstract. It's unlike anything. I'll go back to it. It's unlike anything I've seen before. And I just think there's something there to sort of like take these images to the next level, to something else. It's important that we get context shots that these events are well attended, and that these events have got spectators there, and they're events that you should come to and buy tickets for. But potentially there's something else going on here. There's something else that we can get to take this into a level of artistry that's a level above what we're currently shooting at the moment. I think that just comes with cropping and with your compositions there. Simple portrait. Love the dropped hat. Adds a real air of mystery. I'm a huge fan of no faces in photographs. I think that really allows the viewers to draw their own conclusions from images. Everything in the background just a little bit bright. The horse's face here just coming into white on this side here. We just started to lose a little bit of detail there. I don't mind the crop coming through the nose because I think it fills the frame nicely. The frame's being filled on either side. This branch in the foreground here just a little distracting, I would say. Quite like the tonality. The sepia quality gives it a timelessness to it. There's something in this. Keep experimenting, and again, we're working outside in harsh sunlight. I know how hard that is. Done well to control it with all of the different tones and textures going on here. So we're back outside here. We've got these lovely little dust plumes just coming up from the floor behind. Not quite the movement that we've got in other shots, not quite the sense of velocity and the sense of shape and form, but again, good timing on the gunshot there. And it is really tricky lighting conditions. We're shooting at high noon. There looks like there's very little cloud cover, so it's hard light sources. To maybe take these images to the next level for when we're working outside like this, have a look at your angles, have a look at maybe trying to get down a little bit lower. The lower we get in this shot, the more sky we're going to bring into the picture. The more sky we're going to bring into the picture, the simpler we're going to make the background, the less confusing we're going to make it, and we're going to get maybe some more dynamic compositions overall by taking that approach. Another one from the world of wrestling. What a great expression. You're capturing these expressions, your timing, but your timing on these expressions is great, and it looks like it's, again, you're working in really challenging lighting conditions, so I admire this. Again, I think the crop here is closer. I think we can go for a real abstract crop around the performers in the ring here, just cropping in, just maybe into the top of the head, then down the sides and then through there, and just creating a nice, close, snug crop, because it'll eliminate everything in the background that isn't helping that narrative. This is all about the performers in the middle, all about their expressions, and all about the movement being applied. And again, we've got a portrait here. We've just cropped off the foot at the bottom, which is a shame. But again, a really interesting mask. A lot of work, I'll say this before, a lot of work, a lot of time, and a lot of effort and a lot of thought goes into these performers' dress wear, their coats, their attire, and also the championship belt. And in this case, a mask as well. And I think if we just get a little closer. Bring that championship belt up so it's up on the shoulder. Have that mask looking straight through the middle of the lens. And we've got this lovely black backdrop. If we get a little bit higher, we won't see the rigging at the top. So you bring your position up so we can fill the frame with the backdrop. The closer you zoom in as well, if you've got a zoom function on your lens, the more you'll be able to fill the frame with that backdrop. And then the more you'll be able to fill, the more you can then start placing things within the frame, including the mask and the belt, the gloves, the coat, and just start moving around with little compositions. But I appreciate it's difficult shooting guys in masks because they can't hear very well, they can't see very well. It's sometimes quite comical doing that. But I really admire this effort of taking something rough, rugged, raw, and believable backstage and presenting it as a portrait of a champion. So there we go, there's the red hat photographer Kelly Murphy from the Midwest in the United States of America. Thank you so much for sharing your work with me and with us here on this channel. Really enjoyed looking at the work of mounted cowboy shooting and really enjoyed looking at your timing, and I think there's something here where we can really build on. And I think with the fact that you're working in such a range of challenging lighting conditions and still getting results that are this good, the building blocks are there, so the levels can only go up and up. If you've enjoyed this review and you'd like one, you can get one. It's easier than you think. You need to email me, portraitofawrestler@gmail.com, for all of the information. There'll be some more portfolio reviews and things from our channel that you can view up here. You can like, you can subscribe, you can leave a comment. What was your favourite photo? What did you think of the review? And yeah, tell your friends about it if you think it's something that they may enjoy, because that is one of the best ways you can market on my behalf. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. All the very best.